Hi everyone, this is Mr Neel Raithatha, also known as the Wax Whisperer. Thank you for joining me in my latest video. We have here a patient who attended with bilateral fully occluding earwax, and this is their right ear. When the patient attended, I actually performed the procedure in their left ear first, but I thought I'll show you this right one because you'll see in a moment I removed a huge slither chunk of earwax. It was quite a substantial piece, and that's the piece of earwax that's on the thumbnail. So I've just installed some olive oil medical grade spray, and what the olive oil medical grade spray does, it just helps to soften this wax but also to bind it together. Otherwise, when you've got sometimes soft wax like this, when you suction it, it comes out in little bits. I would rather try and get this out in a big piece, and we are successful in doing that. And you can see I'm just wriggling it towards the entrance. And I'm just going back in, and as I'm extracting this wax, I have to accommodate for the curvature of the ear canal. So our ears are not simple straight cylinders. So there's that huge piece of wax. There was a few hairs in there matted as well. Nice healthy eardrum, just a bit of debris at the base of the ear canal and eardrum. I'm just going to mop that up. So our ears are bendy. In fact, there's two bends, and that gives the ear like an S shape, a sigmoid shape. And these bends are designed to protect the eardrum from any direct contact of any foreign bodies that may enter the ear. Imagine you have a really straight ear canal and you've got an object from the environment, so let's say a twig from a branch, and that enters your ear. If the ear canal is completely straight, this twig has got direct line of sight with the eardrum and it could perforate it. But by having bendy ear canals, the twig has to navigate these bends, and it's not as easy to do. So it's there as an evolutionary advantage, a benefit to have bendy ears. Of course, if if your ears are extremely bendy and twisty, then it can lead to excessive wax buildup because the wax is no longer able to naturally migrate. It gets trapped around the bends as it's moving sideways and outwards. So I'm just going to re-enter the ear, have a last look. You can see the blood vessels there on the hammer bone, the malleus bone. So this is their left ear. Now, this is the ear that they actually felt was the worst one out of the two. The consistency of this wax is slightly different, as you can see. They have been using some drops in here. And what the drops have done, it's changed the consistency. It's made it very mushy. And that's very difficult to suction because it clogs up the inside of the suction probe. So immediately, I install some olive oil spray again, and that's to change the consistency. There's quite a lot of dead skin here as well, and you can normally tell the difference when you have a lot of dead skin contained within the earwax. So just remember, the majority of earwax is actually dead skin. At 60% on average is dead skin. So this skin, if you have a higher percentage than normal, the wax plug becomes very glossy, and that's because the skin cells contain keratin, and keratin is a protein. It's also found in our fingernails and hairs. And keratin has the abilities of reflecting light and harmful UV rays from the sun, for example. Keratin is also hydrophobic. It helps to repel water from out the ear because we don't want water in there. So and this plug, although it was probably half the size, and if you watch till the end of the video, you'll see this plug and also the right one side by side. They actually felt this plug of wax was causing them more symptoms. Their hearing is far worse on this side. And that's because this is really impacted. It's pushed up right up against the ear canal walls. So it's almost creating a complete airtight and sound-tight seal. So sound can't get in at all. With the right ear, although the plug of wax is a lot larger and it's extending all the way from the entrance to the eardrum, it wasn't completely pushed and compressed against the side of the ear canal wall. So there was little gaps there for sound to travel through. So I've just put some more drops in here, and I'm just trying to go from the bottom of the ear canal and lift it up. You can see that wax plug where I am now. It's quite a few hairs in there, so it's likely, that's always a telltale sign of one of two things. Either the patient's using cotton buds and they're pushing these hairs, because these hairs should only be located at the entrance of the ear canal in the outer third, the cartilaginous portion. So whenever you see them deep, you've got to ask yourself, why is that? So it's either they've been using cotton buds and it's been pushing these hairs further in, or when they've been trimming the hairs at the side of their ears, these hairs have been flying in. So I always recommend, if you do trim your ear hairs or your tragal hairs, so the tragus is the cartilage, a triangular piece of cartilage just in front of the entrance of your ear. And sometimes we can have quite a few hairs on the tragus and people trim them. And these hairs can fly in. So I always recommend just almost padding, not pushing in, but just padding some cotton wool just at the entrance of the ear. Do make sure it's big enough so it doesn't go in, and you can obviously take it back out. So just at the entrance, and that will prevent any ear hairs from flying in. So I'm just using the ear hook here, and I'm gliding at the roof of the ear canal before turning the hook clockwise about 90 degrees. And that movement embeds the hook into the wax. And as you can see, although it didn't remove the plug completely, it did break it up into a little piece. I managed to get one segment out. And by reducing the size of this plug, it can make it a bit easier to remove now because there's less compression against the side of the ear canals. I think I'm going to have to use a bit more drops if memory serves me correct, because it was really impacted. And it didn't help because they have got quite a bendy ear. When you've got a bendy ear, we have to manoeuvre this wax around the bends. So I'm just working at the front part of the ear canal. I'm just trying to lift this wax plug away. I've just got some purchase there. And when you've got a suction grip, it's key that you don't withdraw the suction probe too quickly. If you do, you lose that suction grip. So quite often you have to hover over the wax and just let the suction do the work. And as you've got a suction grip, just slowly come away towards the entrance. And quite often you can make little wriggle movements like I do, and that just loosens the wax if it's adhered to the canal walls. And again, I'm just going to the front part of the ear canal. I just want to manoeuvre this away from the anterior canal wall. Still quite sticky and stodgy. It's like fudge, this wax. And now going to the roof. I'm trying to just roll this down forwards. There we are. So I've got some good purchase there, and I'm just wriggling it left to right and underneath the canal wall, at the roof of the canal wall. So it was compressed right up against the canal wall. So I'm trying to bring it down and underneath. I've just instilled some more drops, and I'm suctioning whilst the drops is in. I find that's more helpful. It's a bit more difficult, of course, because as you're suctioning, you're also suctioning some of the oil that's in the ear, and that can cause a bit of blurring of the camera screen. But you can see I've still got a fantastic view here. And this last dollop of olive oil really did help. It lubricated the canal walls. I've got less friction there. And I'm now going to just tease it out the entrance. I've got quite a narrow entrance. And there we are. It's quite a substantial piece. You will see at the end of the video, I've got still images, but it wasn't as big as the right side. Again, nice healthy eardrum, quite a bendy ear. So that's the plug from their right side. And you can see it's probably a bit darker than the left. It's probably been there for a bit longer. It's oxidized. You probably see that curvature at the top where it goes down and up again. It's got a little valley. And top right, that's their left side. It's probably half the size. It's more circular, a bit lighter, so it probably hasn't been there as much. But both have got hair strands in there, so the wax has been matted, which makes it more difficult to remove. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video, guys. Take care, keep well, and speak soon. Bye.